Cosmic horror, the thing that seems to always intrigue the human mind. The what ifs, the unforeseen future, and the possibilities that remain hidden are things that boggle our understanding and concept of life. Throw in some elements of cyberpunk and an apocalyptic setting, and you have this game. Death Trash combines these elements so well, creating curiosity in the midst of its beautifully created chaos, and it scratched an itch that I never knew I had. And that's when I realized, never have I been so intrigued by a demo before. The main question I always ask myself when trying out a demo is, does this demo make me want to buy the game? Usually I'm on the fence when it comes to making decisions outright, but for some reason this game enticed me right on the spot. This is when you know a game is done right, so I can give you the answer to this question right now. Yes, it's definitely worth it, and it's a gem. If you want to know why, stick around and let me take you through the early part of the game. Note that this is at least the first hour into the game, so there will be some spoilers for the story. But if you want to experience this firsthand and go in blind, then I strongly advise you to do so. All good? If you're still around, let's dive into this cosmic madness of
blood and meat.
Before this Cronenberg body horror madness begins, you are able to customize your skill points. Naturally, you try to even the points out, but you make sure to focus on merely sharp weapons, as dystopian future settings such as this, ammo may not be so abundant. You start off outside of some sort of futuristic settlement protected by robotic sentinels. The robot near you tells you that you have become contaminated, and that you are no longer a citizen of the settlement, and you are now exiled. With your citizenship revoked, the robot tells you certain rules and guidelines that you must follow. Firstly, you must not enter a settlement of the Universalist Society again, whatever that means. And secondly, you are no longer allowed to reproduce. Since the outside is a dangerous and unforgiving place, you are provided basic training as to how you can survive. You step into the training facility and notice the eerie atmosphere. The walls and floors tainted with some sort of organic material pulsing as if it's alive. Bloodshot red, this organic mass known as the meat is what the locals seem to eat and survive on. Edible but not clean, eating said meat makes you more infected. Little by little, consuming the meat will drain your sanity and humanity. Knowing that this should be only used in case of emergencies, you pack a couple of this unconventional ration. Editorial note here, I didn't realize that you could just puke in order to clear the infection. I figured this out way after. It was when I was editing the video that I learned about this, so my entire playthrough is just me playing with the infection. So yeah, anyway, back to the video. You try to turn on the nearby generator in order to progress through the door. Unfortunately, it is malfunctioning and you need some lube. A dreading horror fills your body as you have a vague idea of what you must do. You pluck up the courage to slowly slide down your finger down your throat and puke into the machine. Surprisingly, this works, and you now have gained access through the door. You find a wooden cudgel to serve as a melee weapon, nothing too useful, but it's better than swinging around your useless fists. You try to familiarize yourself with your newly found weapon by breaking some nearby trash cans and the training dummies in the next room. After being accustomed to your wooden bat, you stumble across upon an old beaten rifle. Finally, a ranged weapon that you can use safely from a distance. It's not an automatic and can only fire one shot before needing to reload, but it should serve its purpose well enough. Your inexperience in combat leads to slow attack animations that have some wind-up time, so the combat has to be methodically thought out and strategized beforehand, as going in guns blazing will serve to be the end of you. Being sneaky and stealthy is an important skill to survive out here. Luckily, fortune shines upon you as you pick up a stealth tool that allows you to turn invisible. This, however, is not true invisibility, as staying in the line of sight of enemies for too long will break your invisibility and make you become visible again. If you are lucky and able to sneak behind enemies, you can execute critical damage to enemy units for some massive damage. You slowly progress through the training corridors, solving the puzzles and hunting down the meat monstrosities until you finally make it out. The fresh air and sudden ray of sunlight is truly a marvel to behold. You make your way down from the settlement doors and slowly the freshly air becomes corroded with the smell of freshly tainted blood and iron. You notice a bed out in the open. Someone seems to be living here. This is when you see a man wandering aimlessly. He says he's the god of the flesh kraken, here to keep him company and protect him. Not that this gigantic Lovecraftian horror seems to need protection anyway. You muster the courage to talk to this unholy creature. Surprisingly, it just wants friends. You agree to its demands of helping it search for friends, but make no promises, as the appearance of this lonely creature is a bit hard to stomach. You say bye to your two new friends and slowly wander further into the wilderness. The outside. You walk around trying to scavenge for resources, taking out a flesh abomination here and there, and looting the corpses that litter the ground. In the middle of this area is a naked man dancing in front of a little pond. He seems uninterested in carrying a conversation with you, nor is he interested in clothes. Seeing nothing more of interest, you adventure out, further from home. You check your map and see 2 points of immediate interest. The festering Gorge is the nearest location. Not a really appealing name, but you decide it's worth checking out. It seems everywhere is plagued by the sentient mass of organs and flesh. You see some worm-like blood creatures and try to catch them, but to no avail. This costs you almost all your health, but you decide to pull through and keep exploring. You quickly dispatch the flesh creature just a little ways below, and scavenge the nearby corpse. The corpse has a shock augmentation that you can use to shoot out electricity from the palm of your hands. Running low on health and medicine, you decide now is a good time to munch on those meat rations you procured earlier. The taste is what you expect. The organs tasting like iron and of regret. The meat is in abundance, found everywhere, so it's a quick way of healing for now, but you don't think you'll get accustomed to the taste. You try out your new shock powers on 2 creatures not far from where you gained your powers. Here you come across a new strand of enemy, an exploder. You shoot your electricity twice after missing your first shot, and explodes, killing off the other one. You learn that with each use of your newfound power, you'll get more infected, so it should be only used in a pinch. You make your way up north and see a person holding a rifle. Is that a person working with those blood creatures? Confusion sets in your mind, but you quickly brush it off as your fight or flight sense kicks in. You decide to fight. You loot the body, some gold coins and some ammo. Nice. And an extra rifle. This should serve you well. You head back to where you intended to go to and see a tunnel amongst the biomass. You came this far, might as well head in. You walk around this dim-lit eerie cave and notice another hunter. You activate your stealth gear and sneak towards him. That last kill gave you enough experience to become more proficient in surviving in this chaos. You loot the pistol of your enemy and a recipe for a lockpick. Satisfied with your newly acquired loot from this place, you decide it's time to head to Taurus. After a long wearing travel, it's good to finally see some friendly faces. You walk around the settlement, getting accustomed to the villagers. Most of them are of no particular interest. Majority of them saying they don't trust the machines, but there are some interesting personalities here and there. The settlement also seems to be protected and watched over by androids, but they could be here to enforce the rules. Rules such as the no reproducing one. There are still so many unquestioned mysteries that need to be solved. Speaking of mysteries, you see the naked man once again. Whether this is the same naked man you saw at the pond or just a fellow connoisseur of the naked arts, who knows. You make your way to the center of the village. Finally, at long last, you stumble across a merchant. You sell off all the unnecessary loot and trash that you managed to scavenge for your expeditions. Still, it's not enough for you to buy anything, as the money you have amassed is basically just pocket change. Undefeated and still resolute to thrive, you loot the abandoned houses nearby. While inviting yourself to other people's homes, you notice a rundown broken cyborg. It apparently needs lube. Huh, well, you know where this is going. After repairing it with your bile, the cyborg wakes up and tells you some lore. Apparently, the robots are our masters and protected us. Protect us from what? Is the main question. And how did humanity get to this point? Many unanswered questions, but I guess we have to take baby steps for now. The cyborg apparently left the robot race, having the desire to travel and explore, wanting to get to know people and make friends. Wait a minute, make friends? You remember vividly the flesh kraken wanting the same thing. You suggest this idea to the cyborg and it piques its interest. The cyborg, no longer needing its body as it's damaged beyond repair, suggests you rip its head from its body and just carry its head around. You agree after some careful consideration and place the cyborg head in your bag and continue exploration of the settlement. You find an empty shack that seems to have been abandoned for years. This is great news as you can use this place as a temporary home. It even comes with a storage locker unit as well, perfect for dumping all your loot. In the room to the right of this house is a hatch that leads to the underground facility. Curiosity killed a cat, but this sucker's got 9 lives and all to save. So naturally you go down and explore. Who wouldn't go down a hatch in their own home? You just got to know. Here you find a scientist researching the mass of flesh. He is just as inquisitive as you are. Wondering where all this biomass came from, you take turns sharing notes and asking questions. He is intrigued that you are contaminated, yet show no signs of infection or mutation. You ask him if he can examine you, and he is eager to do so, as he has not yet seen a premature case like yours. But unfortunately, he does not have the right tools to do so. He needs a medical scanner and some octagon fluid. After this fetch quest, he should be able to help you find some answers. You notice in the corner of your eye, behind the scientist, is a flesh nexus. You try reaching out to it, but it does not budge. Not yet, anyway. Knowing that your contamination could put your life at risk at any moment, you scurry away, exploring the remainder of the facility before heading out. In the far right corner of the installation, you see a female hunter, hiding away peacefully. She wants to be left alone, so you leave her to her peace and venture below where the spiders lurk in the caverns. These spiders are not your average arachnids, as their size and speed are insane. They also spit out cobwebs to slow down your movement as well. You slowly lure out each spider one by one, methodically taking them out. The fight with these 8-legged freaks took quite a toll on you, so you gobble down on some more organs. The infection slowly takes a toll on you as you have consumed too much of that good meat, and now your vision gets a little blurry. You endure the pain and nauseating headache and head back to town, selling off your wares once again and trying to find something that you can buy with the chump change you have. Unfortunately, it seems that the options to install implants and some services are still locked out of this demo, but you gotta do what you gotta do. In the middle of the town square, there is a meat merchant that trades meat and a merc that offers his job to find a machine core in the bunkers nearby. You agree to find the machine core and head to the doctors to get the medical scanner for the scientist. With nothing left to do in the settlement for now, you head back to the Flesh Kraken to introduce it to its new friend. This is when you find out the Flesh Kraken seems to be communicating with you telepathically, as it tells you that it wants to swallow the cyborg head. Cyborg head thinks that this is an okay idea, and all 3 of you carry out with this absurd process. You leave the Flesh Kraken to digest its new and only friend, and you head on over to Bunker 17 for the fetch quest that you need to do. The exterior of the bunker is littered with enemies and traps. You make sure to watch out for landmines, as one wrong step will be the end of you. This place is heavily guarded, but it is no problem for your combat prowess.
Fuck you and who you came with.
Here you take care of a hunter and 2 infested. From the loot, you finally pick an upgrade to your bladed weapon. A useful sword. Finally, a decent melee weapon. This is a huge win as it packs more of a punch, nearly twice the damage. Equipping your new sword, you take care of all the remaining stragglers outside the camp and slowly make your way towards the bunker. The inside of the bunker is also full of enemies. It's nothing a little stealth and combat can handle though. You easily dispatch of the enemies loitering around the entrance and venture deeper into the bunker. Here you loot the shotgun of a dead enemy. This will also come in handy. You stumble upon a locked storage unit, so you decide now is a good time to try out that new lockpick skill you picked up from the festering Gorge. Nothing too useful is inside, as you're hurting for some healing supplies right now. You take down 2 more enemies, but one of them gets you pretty good. There's only 2 nano health items left, but you know that now you need to take one or else. Luckily, there is one more of this precious item in the locker up ahead. You thank the heavens for this fortune and make your way into the machine core room. You rip out the machine core from its body. That's one fetch quest done. Now, just the octagon fluid is left. You stroll into the western wing, taking out the foes with precision. You find another valuable piece of weaponry, a laser gun with some laser cells. Your arsenal grows larger, along with your efficiency for violence. You find the octagon fluid in the locker. Now that's all she wrote. Time to leave this place. Your escape route is blocked by many more enemies, but what's a few more dead bodies? It's not like someone's keeping count. Finally, back to civilization. Well, what's left of it anyway. This place isn't much, but it's good to be back somewhere safe. You head back to the scientist and give him all the items he needs. He applies the octagon fluid onto your skin and theorizes that it will help you communicate with this flesh amalgamation. Slowly walking towards it, you hear its beckoning call. You reach your hand out. You feel 1,000 stares upon you, but you have no voice to communicate with it. Something is missing. You hypothesize with the scientist that you need a stronger voice. Maybe the flesh kraken could help you with this one. It's time for a trip back to your old friend. The flesh kraken is as usual in its fixed location, seemingly still eating the cyborg head. You ask for its help and it tells you that you need a strong voice by pondering, seeing and knowing. A sudden awareness of past and recent experiences washes over you, and somehow you have now acquired new knowledge. It's back to the flesh nexus, and now this time it enters into your mind. Astonishingly, you are transformed into one of these fleshy, wormy creatures. However, this form feels so familiar, and the movements come naturally to you. The mutant creatures are not hostile to you in any way, shape or form, and you pass them, and slowly a blood-filled pond comes into view. Here, a bleeding head oracle lies in wait for you. He says he's the guidance of thoughts and that you are a worm shaman, and he needs your help. The oracle says he is coming, and the oracle needs your help in order to escape. You ask how, but the oracle doesn't have answers. You have so many more questions, but the nexus shuts upon you, and you return back to reality. This is where the demo of Death Trash ends, and boy oh boy was it a thrilling tale. The game is still in early access, and I'm definitely going to be playing this in my free spare time, as this has gotten me so hooked. And I'm very, very much invested into the story now. I hope this also piqued your interest as well, and if you're interested in seeing me do a full playthrough, then please let me know in the comments below, and if there is a demand, then I shall supply. Also, feel free to let me know of any other games and suggestions that you would like to see. This has been Requiring of the Indie Masters, signing out. Have a good day everyone.